All right, welcome to today's show. I'm sitting here with Dan Henry, author of Digital Millionaire Secrets, CEO of GetClients.com. Dan, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey man, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. How you doing?
Well, I'm stuck at home, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Yeah. Well, I saw you just had a nice tea delivered there by your wife, I believe. So everything looks pretty kosher on
No,
your
no,
end,
no,
right?
no wife.
Oh, no wife. Sorry.
You were wrong on both counts. This is a cup of coffee. I've had tea all day, and I was like, I can't take it anymore. I need a cup of coffee. So
Fair enough. I hear you. Well, I'm here at my parents' house. I flew all the way back from Europe to stay here in Canada and visit them and make sure everything's cool here. So I'm literally doing this from my childhood bedroom, which is hilarious on my end. So awesome to see you, man. Thanks for coming on. It's really a pleasure. Let's jump straight into it, shall we?
sure.
You know, as we spoke briefly before we jumped on here, I've been following your journey. I've been online about a year, and you're just a massive inspiration for me. We both come from a sort of hospitality background. So my first blaring question in my own mind, this is so selfish of me, I just want to know, when you were making that transition and you decided like, okay, I'm going on digital, how did that process work for the listener who's out there possibly thinking the same? They have doubts and self-sabotage patterns in place. How did you smash through that and just tell yourself one day, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, a lot of people, they get this thing called imposter syndrome. And I always say the cure for imposter syndrome is to build something great. Because if you build something great, nobody can call you an imposter, right? But the thing is if you don't start building, you'll never be great. So the idea that you can't do something or you can't start because you'll feel like an imposter is, I don't know, it's in my opinion, sort of an oxymoron. Like you can't, if you don't start, then you never will, be able to feel like you're not an imposter. And you just have to start building. You just have to start moving. You just have to start going. I remember the first time somebody asked me for my advice. I gave it for free because I was just so shocked that I was being asked for my advice. And when it worked for them, I started, offering. I remember I literally said, "Hey guys, here's this thing I need to know how to do. If you jump on a call with me, I'll give you a free 30-minute coaching call. All I ask is you give me an honest video review." And even if your advice was terrible, who's going to complain that you gave it for free? And so I got on there and I gave these people advice, and it worked for them. And they gave me awesome testimonials, and then I used those testimonials to sell paid advice. And then from there, I got more testimonials, and I created a program. And you just have to start building. The easiest cure to imposter syndrome is to build something great.
Absolutely. I love it. That's amazing advice. Yeah, that's something actually I've noticed. Your marketing is heavily based off client success stories rather than, flashy marketing tactics and slick sales talk, right? Heavily based off that. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? And who doesn't like pudding? Am I right? So talk to me a little bit about that.
What's easier? Is it easier to learn how to become a slick salesman, or to just get good at what you already do and get people results and then show those results? What is easier? You know what I mean? And that's the thing is the harder you work to make sure your clients get results and your students get results, the easier it will be to sell your programs, and they'll become an advocate for you for your programs. And it's like this trickle down effect. Now, obviously there's marketing and sales techniques you need to do, but I'll give you an example. A lot of people, they recommend the book Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz as one of the greatest books on copy and advertising. And I read that book, and I just do not feel the same. I feel that that, and I'm not saying it's not a good book, but it's a book that's really truly based off sensationalized copy. And I know it works, but I feel that there is a better and more ethical way. And it's worked. I mean, I've made $12 million doing it. It works for me. And on top of it, the thing is that when you use all that slick sales copy, then the band hammer comes down on you from Facebook and things like that, because they don't like that stuff because it's kind of wrong. You know what I mean? You can't just go out there and make outrageous claims that you can't back up. You can't, you can't go out there and say, hey, we built this $1 million business with just one little trick, because you didn't build it with one little trick. Okay. That's a lie. And that's why people get their ads account shut down. And if you read books like that and you do old school, old method, old dog copywriting and old dog sales tactics, it's not going to survive in the new world we're at. In the new world we're at, you have to be compliant. You have to be truthful and honest. And the best way to do that is to build something great, because then you never have to lie about it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's spot on. Especially in today's, digital society, there's so much of that happening, that being authentically true and being actually, authentically true about what you're doing and what you're producing is actually a unique selling point these days.
Crazy thought, right? Well, that's like what I do with a lot of my students is we teach them how to make good products, because that ultimately is what will help you last. And so we don't just teach them sales and all that, but we teach them how to make good products, how to educate, how to teach. There's an art to teaching, and teachers have teachers. It's funny. I see these comments sometimes and they blow my mind, where they say, oh, somebody's selling a course on selling courses. And it's like, well, how do you think teachers learn how to teach? Do you think they just wake up and they're born out of the womb and they know how to teach? Or do you think they go to school to learn how to teach?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs teachers and mentors. Never be coached by a coach who doesn't have a coach, right?
Exactly. I have multiple.
Yeah, me too. All areas of life. It's a lifelong journey, and you never stop growing that way. So let's talk a little bit about scaling business, because this is the growth podcast. We're all about scaling our mind to scaling our businesses around here. And you've scaled crazily fast. You're quite open about your work with Sam Ovens and how you went from scaling pressure and issues to then blasting past that. Can you rewind just a little bit for the viewer or the listener who's possibly just starting to outsource for the first time, and other people that are, they're just starting to do that first step of outsourcing? What are the first couple of things you would suggest people outsource?
Well, I don't outsource.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't outsource.
In-source then. Well, go into that for a second.
So I've had a lot of mentors. I've Russell Brunson, Sam Ovens, Myron Golden, a lot of these guys, and they all have their independent things that I go. Like, I went to Sam for corporate structure, hiring. I'd already made millions and millions and millions of dollars before I worked with Sam. I had already made millions and millions of dollars before I worked with Myron. But everybody has their thing, and I went to him for hiring, corporate structure, running a team. Myron for speaking on stage. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, and a lot of times, your mentors buy from you and you buy from your mentors, in this big network of people helping each other. And the thing that I learned, and I know that some people will outsource, but my thing is, outsourcing is tough, because what really makes things work is when somebody truly believes in your message and when you can help them grow. And with outsourcing, that connection gets severed a lot. So, there are some things that I guess you could say I outsource, but all of those people are students or clients of mine that, got good at one particular thing. And I said, hey, I'll pay you to do this. But we have mostly an in-office staff. I see people physically face-to-face every day, not right now, but, and I work with them personally. And since I've been working with them personally in person every day, the company has grown much, much more than, in the beginning I did try to outsource. But, I'm not saying that you can't outsource. I'm just saying that you have to take a different approach to it. I don't think that going on Upwork or Fiverr and paying people for stuff, if it's simple stuff like editing a podcast or something, that's fine. But if it's things that really revolve around your brand, like email copy and stuff like that, I have to train. I have to talk to those people. I have to train those people. Customer support, they're in my office. I want to hear what's going on with the customers. I want to be able to walk into their office and say, hey, how are things going today? What are the problems you're having, and be able to address them. And when you outsource, that connection is much harder to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. You want full control, right? Of course. Yeah, cool. So let's switch gears for a second. I assume you don't see this coming. I know you're a Tool fan, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Tool fan.
Me too. I'm a huge Tool fan as well. Now, I'm curious if we're Tool fans for the same reasons.
Okay, this will be interesting.
This will be interesting. Um, how do you feel about the Ladderless album, namely song number 9, the Ladderless song?
I feel that was so my favorite Tool song was Eulogy. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I thought Anima and Lateralis, I always say Lateralis, whatever.
Ladderless.
I think those were great albums. Was not a fan of Fear Inoculum. It was not, and I'll get crucified by Tool fans because I've never not liked a Tool song. And I listened to that album and I was just like, what is with the alien sounds and the weird? It was just too weird. Now I'm not saying it was bad. It was great, but Tool, I'm not used to great with Tool. I'm used to phenomenal. And I don't know, that album just didn't blow up my skirt up. I just thought that I thought Fear Inoculum was a good track. There was another track that was good, but and it was only like, what was it, like 6 songs or something like that?
Yeah,
We waited
super
10
short.
years. Yeah. I liked early Tool. I mean, there's a couple songs I could say that I really like, but I don't want to mention the names of them on your podcast. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I think I do.
Yeah. But they had that raw, tone. And I feel like 10,000 Days was really great and it was really polished compared to Anima and all that. Because, Anima and Lateralis had like really good raw sounds, and Eulogy is my favorite song. 10,000 Days got a bit more homogenized and more polished, but it was still fantastic. And I just feel that Fear Inoculum took that too far. It took the polish too far. But
yeah, I hear you on that. Do you have an opinion on their overwhelming amount of themes, like alchemy, sacred geometry, Kundalini stuff, Fibonacci sequences?
Yeah, it's all crap. It's all BS.
What do you think about that?
Well, Maynard even said it was BS. He was on Joe Rogan and they talked to him about the Fibonacci sequence, and he was just kind of like, somebody said that one time, and and he like, you could tell that he was just like, you guys kind of like ran with that, I know the history of Tool. Like I remember reading about how they started in I think it was a Los Angeles apartment. I think Danny Carey, out of pure he played with them out of like pity. Because they couldn't find a drummer, and then all of a sudden they become like the biggest alt metal band in the world.
Perfect.
So that was but I will say that still to this day, Eulogy is my favorite song.
Awesome.
That is like, and I've seen them live twice. I had VIP front row backstage picture tickets to them in Orlando, and 2 days later I got more tickets to them in Tampa, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I've been waiting to hear them play Eulogy live, and they never have. It's just not a song they play live.
Yeah,
they very rarely do they play it live.
Oh man, that's a shame that didn't work out for you, but it will in the future. All things happen for a reason, right? So you'll be there hanging with those guys one day. I'm maybe you'll.
Well,
give them a course on how to sell music online or something, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah, they probably don't give two craps about what I have to say. But I actually got backstage tickets to A Perfect Circle, and I got to hang out with Billy Howardell for an hour.
Nice.
And I got pictures with them. I've got a signed drum or snare head from them and a signed tour poster. So I'm like really into it. I don't talk about it a lot because you're like, oh, Dan Henry likes Tool. And then you go look up some of their songs and you're like, ah!
This is scary. This is actually quite scary.
Bastard.
Yeah. But it's deep though, man. Their lyrics are deep. Like, they're deep. It's not just some surface level chatter. Their stuff is very deep. It's awesome that way. Cool, man. I love it. Yeah, I love that.
What's your favorite Tool song?
Man, I like pretty much all their stuff. I like their early stuff as well. You
Yeah.
know, I don't have a favorite, to be honest. I just bump.
You said track 9 on Lateralus?
That's Lateralus.
Isn't
It's
that the title track?
this is the track that I wanted to talk. I wanted to ask what you thought about their symbolisms and all that stuff, because this is the song that everyone talks about. I haven't
But
heard the Joe.
that's Lateral. That's the title track, isn't it?
The title track is Lateralis. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's track 9.
Track 9 is the one where most people are conspiracy drilling down. So I was curious. I've
Are you
never heard the
talking
Joe
about
Rogan.
the pot brownie in German thing?
The pot brownie. No, I'm not. I'm what are you talking about? The pot brownie German thing.
Well, so they did I can't remember what album it was, but they did a song called Dire von Satan. I'm pretty sure that was Anima.
Oh,
And
wow.
it is it's all in German, right? And it sounds terrible. Like it sounds like they're doing some sort of like Nazi chant, but it's actually a recipe for pot brownies that they are just explaining how to make. And it was just hilarious.
That is funny. See, they're so
Yeah.
unique, these guys. They're so unique. Cool, man. Okay, let's hop back over to business for half a second. I'm curious.
Yeah.
You got. I mean,
We'll go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we can go all over the place. You have a very bubbly personality. We're similar that way. I can see that. My question for you is, what aspect of your personality would you say has contributed most to your success? If you could think of one.
Aspect of I would say that I embrace things that are hard. You know, it's funny because when you're trying to succeed and you're trying to grow a business, most people try to avoid pain. They try to avoid the thing that's hard. But if you embrace the thing that's hard, you're now ahead of 99% of your competition because they're all trying to avoid it, you know? Now you should still look for the things that are simpler, more efficient, and in a way easier. But, you know, people often take that too far, and they're like, you know, you'll find the efficient thing, you'll find the easiest thing, you'll find the simplest thing, but then you will still think that's too hard. You won't do it. And so, like, I'll give you a perfect example. One thing that allowed us to grow and scale was we started raising our prices and selling over the phone for the majority of our programs. And a lot of people, there's this objection, oh, I don't want to sell over the phone. Well, why? Well, I'm uncomfortable. Okay, congratulations, you're uncomfortable. Big deal. Like, I'm uncomfortable when I have to stroke a $2 million check to the IRS. I'm uncomfortable when I have to get a prostate exam, but you still have to do it. Okay. Like, so what if you're uncomfortable? Who cares? Big deal. Do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. Nobody likes to deal with refunds. Nobody likes to deal with piracy. Nobody likes to deal with chargebacks. Nobody likes to deal with massive amounts of customer support tickets. But guess what happened? And nobody likes to do sales calls. But guess what happens when you do high ticket sales? You get virtually no refunds, virtually no chargebacks, no piracy, and very little support tickets. So you're trading 4 things you don't want to do for 1 thing you don't want to do. That is what I'm talking about. All right. That is how you grow. Focus. It's about not what to do. It's about saying what not to do. Growth is about embracing the thing that moves the needle the most, regardless of your weird attitude towards, oh, I don't want to do sales calls. Well, you know, I mean, us selling stuff at a higher price over the phone has helped tremendously because we're able to give way more value to our clients. We're able to offer so much more that gets them I mean, think about this. If you charge, you know, this much for something, but you don't have the time to personally really work with your clients, but then you charge this much for something and you do have the time to personally work with your clients, these clients will get this much return and these clients will get this much return. And so, you know, it's just better for everybody. You know, provide a better service, give better value, charge more, and talk to people as human beings, not as a visitor on an order page. You know, that is one of, and we still have our lower price programs as well. But real growth comes when you offer a premium product at a premium price for premium people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. It's crazy. And for a lot of people that are just maybe starting out in this industry or in business in general, that's a hard concept to understand actually, right? You naturally inclined to go out and kind of lowball it and try to go for volume and stuff, but all of a sudden you're attracting people that just aren't there, right? They're not switched on, they're not dedicated, they're not ready for the whole game. You know?
Well, I made $8 million on low ticket,
Mm.
and it was great, but what was preventing me from scaling was the fact that my team was running around answering support tickets, dealing, people, when you have 15,000 customers, somebody doesn't get their logins, their login and username lands in their spam folder, and they email support, and it's a 24 to 40 hour wait because we have 15,000 customers. What do? A lot of times they issue a chargeback, and now you got to respond to the chargeback and blah, blah, blah. And it's all this time. But when somebody buys over the phone, what we do is we process the order and we say, can you check your email? Do you have your login? Yes, I do. Okay, great. No, I don't. Well, and then we fix it on the spot. So most of the reasons why people would issue refunds or get nervous or whatever, or issue a chargeback is because they don't get what they paid for because there's no human being involved. But when there's a human being involved, we can make sure everything's okay. They feel more comfortable with the company, and we cut out all that. I say, look, if there's leaves on the lawn, cut down the tree. Okay. And that's an analogy. I'm not saying anything against like deforestation or anything. I'm saying they cut the problem at its source. And I really don't like breaking leaves.
Cutting
I'll pull
deforestation.
the tree and give it to somebody else.
Yeah, there you go. Splice it, give it off to some friends. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, at the time of recording this for you guys listening in the future, how's the future treating you? I hope you're well and safe. It's coronavirus lockdown. We're both at our homes here recording this, which is kind of
Somebody's
funny.
watching this and they're like,
Yeah, they're like, yeah, look at them. They're
dead.
still healthy back then.
They're
So
sitting there watching the podcast and people are clawing at the glass.
exactly, you guys outside strolling around. Yeah. So looking forward in 2021, 22, what kind of trends do you see emerging?
Well, you would ask me that question last month, I might have given you a
Yeah,
completely different answer. I think
that's
what we're going to see is a lot more people wanting to work from home and wanting to have an online business. A lot more. We've already seen it. I hate to say this, but I'm at home. My company's still making money. Everything's pretty much good here. But I feel very bad for people that, work in the restaurant industry, work in sectors right now that are shut down. And there's nothing they can do about it because, when the government puts you on lockdown, what are you going to do? And so it's now is more time than ever to prepare for your future and understand that the future is truly online business. And I think that what's happening right now is going to kind of change the way we think. I think we're not going to just be so like carefree, because you got to think like my father is 73 years old, and he lived through like the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Cold War and all that. He knows what it's like to live through some scary stuff. But people our age, we had 9/11, we did, but the impact of that was not like the impact of what we have now, where it's affecting our daily lives globally, constantly for an extended period of time. We didn't shut down restaurants when those things happen. So we're living in unprecedented times, and I think it's going to be a wake-up call to everybody that's like, hey, like, you can't just live carefree. Stuff can happen. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your financials. I am blessed to have millions of dollars in the bank just sitting there in reserves, because I take the advice. I've taken Warren Buffett's advice. If you don't understand something, don't invest in it. And I'm not an expert in stocks. I'm not an expert in real estate. So I've held on to my cash, and it's paid off because you could lock me up for the next 2 years in here and I'd be fine. Unfortunately, that's not the same for everybody, and I feel for them. And I think right now is the best time to start worrying about your future and securing your financial future, and not just relying on your employer. So.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Hey, it's like the universe is conspiring for digital millionaires to be created literally in real time right now in front of our eyes. And for guys like us that are in that world, I'm new to it, but in the world of it, I left my job 6 months ago for this. And I'm just like, I can't believe every single day I wake up that I'm like, oh my God, it's actually happening. Everything that I thought about is actually like, here we are, we're sitting at home working. Like, it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. So
absolutely.
for everyone out there listening and watching, if you haven't picked up Dan's new book, Digital Millionaire Secrets, that is the holy grail of how to do what we're doing and how to do what he's doing and teaching people how to bring knowledge online and teach it, right? Dan, talk to us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah. So if you have knowledge that other people would want to know, no matter how small, you can profit from that knowledge. I know people that have made money, made a ton of money, millions, teaching weird stuff like how to use Microsoft Excel, how to jump rope. There's these guys called the Jump Rope Guys. They have a YouTube channel. Um, and it's just, it's really interesting to see that, you don't have to be the top guy. You can be a normal everyday person and profit from your knowledge as well. You don't even have to have knowledge. You can profit from others' knowledge. Like, imagine for a moment that you wanted to sell a course on podcasting, right? And let's say you have your podcast is okay, but it's not like the top. But what if you interviewed 10 top podcasters and you got like really juicy stuff from them, and then you sold access to those interviews to other podcasters that want to learn? Okay. A perfect example of this is Andrew Warner from Mixergy. He interviews top business people and sells access. Another example is Masterclass. They interview, and that's all it is. It's really an interview. They interview, screenwriters and directors and actors and sports players and writers, and they sell the classes on their website, Masterclass. So you don't have to be the expert. You also don't have to be the one. You can sell your knowledge, even if it's entry level. You can sell other people's knowledge. You can create a profitable business selling what you or what others know. And this book will teach you how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Where can they find your book and your business and everything about Dan?
You can get a free copy of Digital Millionaire Secrets at digitalmillionairesecrets.com. And I will cover the cost of the book. The book is free. You just have to pay the postman. Okay. You're not paying me, you're paying the postman. So if you cover shipping, we'll send you the book out for free. And we do ship worldwide. I don't care if you live in, the moon, as long as some sort of postal office delivers there, then we'll send it to you. So there's that. And then, so that's how you can get the book. And I think, for US domestic shipping, it's like $7. Best $7 you ever spent.
Absolutely. Best $7 you've ever spent. Absolutely. All right, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Growth Podcast, man. Like I said before, I respect what you're doing a lot. I've learned a lot from you from the outside here. I'll be keeping my eye on you. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. I really do. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
Cool.